Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
I got multiple victims. I need multiple victims. I need every unit you can find.
The manhunt is on in Maine this afternoon for a former Army reservist suspected of committing 2 mass shootings. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us for Local 4 News at noon. I'm Christy McDonald. The search for a gunman is intensifying at this hour around Lewiston, Maine, after a mass shooting. The shelter-in-place order is still in effect. Officials in Lewiston just wrapped up a news conference about 45 minutes ago, and here is what we have learned so far. 18 people are dead, and more than a dozen others are injured after the shooting last night. It first started at a bowling alley just before 7 p.m. and then moved to a restaurant just 11 minutes down the road. So far, 8 victims have been identified. Officials are now looking for 40-year-old Robert Card. He was spotted on surveillance video armed with an automatic rifle. We are told that Card is a trained firearms instructor and believed to be in the Army Reserve. He also recently reported mental health issues and threatened to shoot up a local National Guard base. An arrest warrant has been issued for him. For the latest on the manhunt, let's go now to CNN's Gloria Pazmino, live in Lewiston.
And we're learning more about the fatal victims following last night's 2 mass shootings here in Lewiston, Maine. 18 people have tragically lost their lives. 13 were injured, and this is still a very active and early investigation. I want to give you a look at one of the locations, the bar, where police say this man opened fire after having gone into a local bowling alley, opening fire there, killing a total of 18 people. A manhunt is still underway.
Nerves are rattled right now. Keeping an eye on the woods.
People in communities near Lewiston, Maine, sheltering in place Thursday as authorities search for the gunman suspected of carrying out 2 deadly mass shootings Wednesday night.
There is now arrest warrants for murder for this particular individual, Mr. Card.
One shooting at a restaurant, the other a bowling alley.
I got multiple victims. I need multiple victims. I need every unit you can find.
Police say 40-year-old Robert Card is considered armed and dangerous. Law enforcement officials say Card recently reported mental health issues, including hearing voices, and made threats to shoot up a National Guard base.
We're going to not stop until we locate him.
Hundreds of state, local, and federal law enforcement officers called in to conduct the manhunt for the suspected killer.
We will work day and night alongside our law enforcement partners to get the answers to the questions this community deserves.
The community shaken and heartbroken amid the tragedy and terror.
This attack strikes at the very heart of who we are and the values we hold dear for this precious place we call home.
The manhunt underway as we speak, and the shelter-in-place order, not just here for Lewiston, but also surrounding communities, is still in effect. Residents being asked to stay indoors, lock their doors, and report any suspicious activity. Gloria Pazmino in Lewiston, Maine. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Gloria. Now, speaking from experience, Local 4 crime and safety expert and former police officer Darnell Blackburn says right now police are leaving no stone unturned to track down the gunman. Of course, we'll have what Darnell is talking about for you on clickondetroit.com. Go there for any updates. We are going to be continuing to give you coverage on this as we get developments throughout the afternoon. In more news, now that the UAW has a tentative deal with Ford, attention has turned to negotiations with GM and Stellantis. Let's head out to Sterling Heights, where Rod Maloney is live. And Rod, I imagine a lot of optimism on the picket lines there this morning.
Well, yes, there is a belief that this thing can be ended here fairly soon, although that is getting back to work and getting up to full capacity is going to take some time. We'll talk about that in a second, but let's take a look at the picket line out here. We're at Sterling Heights Assembly. They've only been on the picket line since Monday, so there's a little bit more spring in the step here than there is at, say, like where we were yesterday at Wayne Assembly, where they were on their 40th day. And so they're still waving the signs happily here at Sterling Heights Assembly. But let's talk a little bit about what it is that's going to take place over the next week or so, actually 2 or 3 weeks, to get this thing settled and things back to normal. On Sunday afternoon, the Ford UAW National Council will come into town. They'll probably meet at the Solidarity House, and they'll talk about the contract, and then they'll vote. They'll decide whether to send it to the membership. It's pretty likely that they will do that. And then thereafter, Shawn Fain says he's going to hold a Facebook Live, and he's going to present the full contract details to the membership in that fashion. And then by Tuesday, there will be what they call regional meetings. So the regions will get together. They'll talk to the local leadership about what's in the contract so that they can go out and explain it in the local informational meetings. And that'll take something along the lines of a week or perhaps even 2 before they actually get to that ratification vote. And so we've talked to a number of experts today about what this means. Merrick Masters, of course, from Wayne State University. We'll be hearing from him in a second. And also Dan Ives, and he is a securities analyst, auto securities analyst, taking a look at the overarching industry and what this really means, because this is going to put about $10 an hour more to the all-in cost for the domestic 3. So let's hear from them.
Well, it's good news for the workers, it's good news for the UAW, it's good news for the company, and it's also good news for the state and the economy. So therefore, I think that we should celebrate this in a way and hope that the details of it will lead to a ratification by the membership. But there still remain 2 companies to settle with, and I think this moves the needle further toward that. The pressure will be on the companies, and I think the elements of an overall agreement, a pattern agreement across the 3 are in place.
The winners are really Tesla and the foreign automakers. And that's been the frustrating thing within GM, Stellantis, Detroit, as well as those that have seen them build this electric vehicle strategy the last few years. With that said, it's a Game of Thrones battle, and they need to ultimately get this deal done.
Now, Jim Farley, Ford CEO, last night put out a statement. He said, quote, "We're pleased to have reached a tentative agreement and a new labor contract with the UAW covering our U.S. operations. We are focused on restoring Kentucky Truck Plant, Michigan Assembly Plant, Chicago Assembly Plant, calling 20,000 Ford employees back to work and shipping our full lineup to our customers to begin." Now, let's take a second look at this in terms of how this works. These plants have been down for upwards of 5 to 6 weeks. An auto plant and the supply chain that goes with it are highly interconnected, and it's one of those things where it's going to take some time. And in fact, I've heard at Ford today, they estimate that by the time the suppliers get up and running, get the stuff flowing to them, getting the full shifts, if they've got 3 shifts at a plant, it's going to take upwards of 4 weeks after the ratification to get things up and running in full order. So this was particularly disruptive, but at this point it looks like we're headed for the meetings to find out if the rank and file will go ahead and ratify. Reporting live in Sterling Heights, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Yeah, you can't just flip a switch. All right, thanks so much, Rod, for the coverage. Well, contract talks are set to resume today between the union representing striking casino workers and Detroit's 3 casinos. The workers are looking for significant wage increases, also improvements to retirement plans, and reducing high workloads. Earlier this week, striking workers visited Detroit City Council. The council passed a resolution supporting them because each day of the strike costs the city thousands in tax revenue. Well, former MSU football head coach Mel Tucker is responding after being found responsible for violating the school's sexual harassment policy. A 73-page report published in USA Today detailed the findings of the school's investigation. It says the former football coach violated the school's sexual harassment policy during an April 2022 phone call. Tucker issued a statement through his legal team where they say the decision was, quote, no surprise. In a statement, the team writes, quote, the decision is fraught with countless factual and legal errors, all of which will be the subject of an immediate appeal and subsequent lawsuit if necessary. The appeal will include evidence recently discovered and previously suppressed by Ms. Tracy, end quote. If the school denies the appeal, the decision will be final. Earlier in the month, Tucker indicated he plans to sue the school for wrongful termination and to recoup at least the roughly $80 million remaining on his contract. Well, the Macomb County Medical Examiner is working to determine if a body found inside of a storm drain in East Point is a missing 47-year-old woman. Samantha Gunther disappeared from her home back in June. Yesterday, police arrested Gunther's boyfriend after the body was found. Detectives are hoping to take the case to the prosecutor this afternoon. Potential charges would come after the body is identified. All right, well, we all know the calendar says fall, but it's starting to feel a little bit like spring. Forewarned meteorologist Ron Hilliard telling us how long we can enjoy it. We're rolling towards the weekend, so I say we enjoy it all, Ron.
Oh, yeah, we should just enjoy what we have because it's not going to last through the weekend, Christy. Right now outside, we do have some of that cloud cover. Some areas still getting some rainfall. Looking into downtown Detroit right now, we have a pleasant sight. Some areas getting just a little bit of sunshine throughout Metro Detroit. 70 in Detroit. We are at 65 for Howell. In Pontiac, we're at 64, and in Monroe, 71 degrees. So we are very warm out there already, and those temperatures will go up a few more degrees. So we do have a few rain showers still lingering in our area. You can see them particularly as you get into the Lapeer and Sandusky area. Some places such as Marine City getting a couple of showers in the area as well. And then the rest of us getting another chance of showers later on because there is still moisture that has to make its way through our area. You can see in the Midwest. And look what's happening over toward the Dakotas and Montana. Snow. And that's an indicator of the cold air that we have on our way. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as well as some big changes ahead of us for next week.
All right, sounds good, Ron. We'll see you in just a little bit.